Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football, continuing our freshman spotlight series as we take a look back at that 2023 class and talk about some dudes that are going to have year one impacts in this 2023 college football season. We're going back to the Miami Hurricanes, and we're talking Francis Mauigoa, the number 2 offensive tackle from that 2023 class, arguably should have been the number 1 offensive tackle in that class, and what he can bring to this Miami Hurricanes team, specifically on the offensive line. And this is a unit for the Miami Hurricanes that isn't necessarily on like the Joe Moore Award watch list. It's not like the national media is not talking about this group as one of the best offensive lines coming into 2023. But you take a look at what Mario Cristobal has done in the transfer portal, what he's brought in the recruiting class. This is a group that I've been optimistic about the Miami Hurricanes and what they can bring to this 2023 season. The reason I am so optimistic is the physicality of this offensive line could be really, really good. And throughout Miami's history of trying to get back, they've had talent at the skill positions. I don't think we've seen an offensive line potentially this physically dominant than this group heading into 2023. And that's a large part of why I'm so optimistic. Now, before we get into Francis Mauigoa previewing that offensive line, just want to say thank you to you guys. It's been a blast talking Miami football. We've hammered them on the recruiting trail, trying to break down as many commitments as we can for them. And the support you guys have shown truly does mean a lot. We've talked Ruben Bain. We've talked Mark Fletcher in our freshman spotlight series. The Hurricane fans, you guys have been rocking with the boys in a big way. So appreciate you guys rocking with the boys. If you do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. And let's get into Francis Mauigoa. And the first thing I want to talk about is he's not going to light up the box score because he's an offensive lineman. The national media is not going to be talking about him like they are talking about some other guys in this 2023 class. But you talk about the impact that Francis Mauigoa can bring to this team as a year one freshman. I think it might be the biggest in the country. You take a look at all the true freshmen across the country that are going to get playing time, that are going to make some noise. I don't know if you'll find a player that might have as big of an impact on a program heading into 2023 than Francis Mauigoa, because he's a guy that it's so rare to find offensive, specifically in the trenches. Like a lot of true freshmen can come in, maybe get some reps at wide receiver, but on the offensive line, it's rare. Even on the defensive line, it's rare. But Francis Mauigoa came in and pretty much was immediately getting starting reps in spring practice. You listen and read the spring practice notes. This dude is, I mean, like from all accounts, like going to be a special player. And specifically for the Miami Hurricanes, what did Mario Cristobal want to work on the most in this offseason? And again, going back to why I'm so high on this Hurricanes team heading into 2023, the trenches, right? You go out and get Matt Lee, you go out and get Javian Cohen, you bring in 2 of the best offensive tackles in Pancake Concho and Francis in that 2023 class. That's what he wanted to do. And you take a look at this offensive line, it can be an elite group in 2023. And I think for Miami fans, it's nice to talk about some of those wide receivers that might step up. Tyler Van Dyke kind of settling in and getting back to form. But man, if you're optimistic and super excited about the ceiling of this team for one reason, I really do think it's along the offensive line. Now, I want to get into the film a little bit and just talk about why Francis Mauigoa is such a special athlete that can be that year one guy. And it starts off with how athletic he is for his size. I mean, you're talking about a dude that looks like an offensive tackle, looks like he's been in a college football program for 3 to 4 years. 6'6", 330 pounds. How athletic he is, and you guys have probably seen like the box jumps that he's had. That translates to the field. That's just not like a workout warrior type thing. You turn on the film playing at IMG Academy. I mean, he is a dominant force, and we're going to watch some film from St. Francis Academy going on the road. This is a top 10 high school class that he's going to be playing, and he's going to look different, right? And I know IMG has a lot of good offensive linemen in this class. You're seeing Francis just like separate himself in terms of dominant he can be as a football player. And one of the things I'm most excited for when you get into the film is not only the raw power he has in his hands, like you see that, just absolutely bullying people, putting them in the dirt, but how athletic he is. Like in terms of, you want to ask your tackle to pull backside, or you want him to get out in space and be a dog, Francis Mauigoa is, if he looks like a tight end moving when he's asked to pull. You're going to see him, look how smooth he is, find the linebacker at the second level, and then get out in front. Like this is a guy that highly fired up. He's fired up about it. That's what you want out of an offensive lineman, like that little bit of a mean streak. But in terms of the athletic profile, like this is a guy that just, it seems so easy. Like look at the big dog get out in space, find someone to take on. That's what's most exciting about me. He has that physical toolkit, and a lot of offensive linemen come in big. Like Juan Minilla from Miami in the 2024 class, he's big, 6'7", 340 pounds. Does he have that athleticism yet? Probably not. Francis, he's coming in. He is already a monster, but the athleticism that he shows, it's next level. Now, I want to talk, and this is where it gets really exciting for Miami fans, and you're talking about why the Hurricanes can kind of reach their potential in 2023. They have some guys on the defensive side of the ball. Leonard Taylor, I'm excited for. I'm really excited for a guy like Colby Young. That being said, why I'm most excited for this Miami team is what they've done on the offensive line and what this group, if it reaches its potential, could be. Now, starting at right tackle with Francis, I really do. You saw how athletic and how ready he is to play college football. He's an all ACC kind of guy as a true freshman. I think he's arguably the best true freshman in the ACC right now. But you take a look at what this offensive line could be. Not only is it really depth with guys like Jalen Rivers and Inez Cooper, but it is loaded. Matt Lee, probably the best center in the ACC. Javian Cohen, probably the best interior offensive lineman in the ACC. And we got to talk about Zion Nelson, who I don't know if many of you guys have been riding with the Rock Boys 2 years ago when we were just starting this thing and we were doing mock drafts and talking about some NFL draft prospects. I had Zion Nelson as a top 5 offensive tackle going into his junior year. I mean, this is a dude that, from a physical standpoint, extremely impressive. Very big, very athletic. Now, what happened with Zion Nelson is he got banged up, really struggled to stay. If Zion Nelson can stay healthy, there is zero doubt and reach his full potential. There's zero doubt in my mind Zion Nelson is one of the best tackles in the ACC. And on the other side, you have Francis Mauigoa, who I think already is probably one of the best tackles in the ACC. Then you look on the inside, Matt Lee, probably the best center. Javian Cohen, probably one of the best interior offensive linemen in this class. And then you have some guys in depth places. Pancake Honcho, probably a guy that, I mean, a lot of the hype goes to Francis because of how special he is. Pancake Honcho is probably a guy that can play year one as well. Jalen Rivers and Nez Cooper, they have not only talent. I mean, all 5 of these guys could be all ACC members, some of them being all Americans, but they also have that depth. And that is something Mario Cristobal wanted and just did not have year one. And now you bring in Shannon Dawson, and yeah, it's going to be a little bit more spread out. You're going to be throwing the football maybe a little bit more. Don't get it twisted, though. Like, this Miami team is still coached by Mario Cristobal, and it's still going to be a physical team. And we've already talked about Mark Fletcher. Like, this is a group that what's the best way to make it a little easier for quarterback? And everything was hard for Tyler Van Dyke last year, including Josh Gaddis calling that offense, taking my shot at Josh Gaddis early. Not early. It was a little later than we normally do. But what's a way you can make a quarterback's job much easier and let them be a little bit more successful? Some people would say, yeah, having elite wide receivers, which I do. I'm excited for some of these wide receivers. My answer is having a good run game. If a defense has to respect you running the football and you can run the football effectively and work off play action, there is no better way to help a quarterback than running the football efficiently. And that is what I think Miami can do. Again, we're talking about Shannon Dawson and the spread attack. You'll see some of that, but they're going to run the football. They're going to run the football effectively. And I think that's going to be one of the biggest storylines for a guy like Tyler Van Dyke to kind of look back to form, be kind of one of those NFL draft quarterback dudes that we thought he could be in 2022. So if you're a Miami Hurricane fan, there's a lot of reasons to be excited. You have a lot of true freshmen coming in. If you asked me the one guy I think can really change where this program is going, I think it's Francis Mauigoa up front, because the talent that he brings to the table and how ready he is to produce could be elite. And we're looking at potentially one of the better offensive lines in the ACC and maybe even in the country. Again, wanted to keep this one short, but appreciate you guys rocking with the boys like you always have. Talked a ton of Miami football. You guys have been supporting the boys in a big way. So if you do enjoy it, subscribe to the channel. It'll be a team we talk about a lot in the month of August and as we roll into the season. Appreciate y'all, and we'll talk to y'all later. Peace.